Hello and welcome to the space of the Conscious CoCreators. We are here today joined by two honorable guests. My name is Uma and I'm here also with Shani. We're going to share with you a little bit of their story and they will share as well as a big inspiration.
Yes, it's amazing to be joined here today by Aniruddhan and Gautami. They are starseeds who have an incredible energy and wonderful wisdom to share with us today. So very excited to open this space and begin this conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, it's very nice to be here.
So you guys have been doing intuitive healing and psychic healing for all your lives. Would you please share a little bit of how everything started for you? And when did you discover that you have a gift and you want and have to share it with the others, with the society, with the people? And how was this journey for you?
Would you like me to start?
Yes.
Okay, well, as a child, unfortunately, I was, perceived as different because I was a little different. So my parents, luckily my mother, recognized I was different. That was a little awkward because I was always told I was different and I always wanted to fit in. So, there was the struggle between wanting to fit in and kind of knowing I was different. In that difference that I had is I had a natural touch. So I would touch people when I was young. And so everybody wanted me to touch them because they always felt, and I was naturally drawn to massaging or just rubbing someone's shoulders. And I was drawn to putting my hands on people. So it became something that, my family, would like be drawn, to, will you rub my shoulder? Will you, put, so I was naturally, without knowing anything, doing healing as a child, relieving the tension, helping people feel better. I did also learn my voice had an effect. So, growing up and just naturally that was a gift that I just knew I had. And, being told I was different from the very beginning and wanting to fit in, I obviously had a, you think everyone is like you, but, obviously being a little different, it was hard for me to understand why, people would be violent, why people would kill each other or why they would be destructive. So I never really could understand it, the destructiveness. And when I was growing up as a kid, I saw that in school, people, kids throwing rocks and breaking windows and being violent and beating each other up. And I saw war, and it was something that really I couldn't understand it. As a starseed, I come from a dimension where there is no duality. There's only love. That's my reality. I live in a world where there is no evil. So you got to understand in that unified field, and my body's wired that way, I can't comprehend it. I mean, I can play the game, but I can't comprehend. I have no ability to really comprehend evil or bad. What is bad? It doesn't exist where I come from. So I only can say that now because I'm an adult, but I knew that as a kid. And then I have a feeling inside of me that people don't have. I can feel the love of God 24 hours a day, all the time. People do drugs because they want to feel good. I've tried them, but they don't have any effect on me. They just make me feel normal. Because I'm always like I found out when I was young that I always feel like people are trying to feel. Like they're doing a drug to try to feel this incredible connection, this bliss. And I realized I'm always feeling that. I always feel that. So that emotionally is at times overwhelming. I had to learn how to control that.
Right.
Because it's so emotionally overwhelming that I would cry very easily. Tears can come to my eyes very easily. If I tune in too strongly to that inner bliss, my eyes water.
I make me tear right now.
Okay, so
Wow.
so I have to be careful. Don't connect to that, please. But anyway, yeah. So then I have to. There is that place. So then I have to kind of disconnect from that energy, because it just emotionally overwhelms me. It makes my eyes water. So. But that's happening all the time. So I had to learn how to kind of suppress that. And that was one of the problems that I had in my life, is the suppression of my gifts. It's like she did the same thing. We try to fit in. So we try to, do the game, play the game, compete and, follow the rules, so to speak. So, there were times where we might have taken other paths. I did sports, or, I wanted to be popular. So, I would choose, more of what other human beings would do, again, like a name, fame, and fortune, right? So there was a time where I wanted to have name, fame, and fortune to be successful. So that was, the yin and the yang of the journey. That was the yin and yang in journey. So I survived.
That's amazing. Wow. I feel so touched by what you shared there, and the energy is powerful and it's true. So what you shared is that you've always felt this way, the love, and you were at a certain time when you were younger being told to suppress who you are to fit in.
Well, so, society was, obviously my gift. Yeah, for me to be an emotional young man, boys don't cry. Right? You're supposed to be strong, right? So and also I'm supposed to fight back. So you corner me and you be aggressive. I'm supposed to be, I'm supposed to. So I had a very difficult time.
So I'm wondering, when you were younger, did you view it as a gift, or did you feel almost like it was a curse, or when you were trying to fit in?
Of course. Yes. So there was, the idea of that, that it was a blessing in disguise. So yes, you could say there were times it was, that's a good statement. I can't say I would identify it as that, but yes, for sure that fits very well. That the gift I had, I felt at times, I always tried to get it to go away. I could never get it to go away. So, I even, so again, you could say even doctors tried to get it to go away. They told me it wasn't normal, so they tried to give me drugs because they, my mom didn't allow it, but, they wanted to drug me as a child because I was always happy. They told me it's not right.
It's not normal that you're so happy.
Yeah, that's what they said. It's not. You're not, that's not normal. You should not always be happy. That's what the doctor said. My mom listened to that when she stopped taking me to the doctor when they told me, that's unhealthy to be always happy. So they wanted to give me drugs so they could stop me from always being happy. So that's like.
But that's very interesting what you say, because even in non-duality, there are two polarities of the same. So if we are happy, we are always sad, but this is the same. It's an emotion, right?
Well, you're talking duality. I'm not from duality. I don't live in duality. You got to understand, I don't really live here. Okay? I live in heaven right here, constantly. That's where I live. This is the fifth dimension right here. So when you learn to live from your heart, then you can be a real human being. Okay, so we have a lot of lost human beings on the planet, most of us, and they're not living from their heart. But then again, society doesn't want you to, because then you're going to be happy and not buy their drugs and do what they want and take their job, work your whole life to make money, to buy your house or to retire and think you're going to take your vacation. They don't want you to be in your heart. Society wants you to be in duality, work, be a slave, right? That's the point. So you're being groomed away from your heart. Every human being with a cell phone is groomed away from their heart.
No, that's a reality.
Yeah, sadly. But we're going to change it. I'm here.
Yeah.
I came to change and bring in the Aquarian age. So
Yes, beautiful.
I came here. I survived this far, so now I'm going to complete my job.
Yeah, you're definitely representatives of the indigo children. Gautami, would you share a little bit about your journey?
Yes, I really born with the gift to feel and listen and see different dimensions since little girl, baby. I remember I have dreams with these trips out of the world and see geometric shapes, energies. And I share with my dad, and he was very sweet. He bought me this game with these atoms, you paint and you do this. And he asked me, is this you see? And I really was seeing these atoms, energies and everything. But in the same way, I was feeling everything from people, their emotions, and I was feeling a little overwhelmed because I have premonitions, very anchor, and the sum of them was very difficult because, for example, I was feeling death, like people are going to die in this way, and really happen. And in some point, I was feeling like, oh my gosh, it's me doing it. I was very scared. I was beginning to feel like is my energy is creating this. But I have a beautiful parents, very spiritual, and they took me to a mediums. We have meetings in our home. They come and they see. I used to channel people that, like one day we have a meeting and I begin to talk through a little voice, a baby voice. And my dad thought, oh, it was my brother, because he has two brothers die, 5 years old or something, because they eat poison fruit, they die. And I begin to talk, and my dad was the one recognized the voice of their brothers, and I was talking. I don't need this anymore, because the energy is like a conversation you are having, but in that moment, it's like very dense energy, and it's like I take over my body and the energy come through. They teach me to use in a good way to help and to guide. But I was very young and was very difficult for me because I have experience with my family, special my mom, my dad, and my uncle. First was my uncle. I was in a bed and he came to me and embraced me and tell I'm going. And I was feeling he's going. The next day at 10 a.m. we receive a call. And I was in the stairs upstairs and my mom told, what? And I told, was my uncle die? And yes, he died. And I knew. That was my difficult experience. And I was fainting in the floor for more than 2 hours. The doctor came. They didn't see anything, but was this shock in my system. And then later on was about my dad. My dad had a cancer, a very severe cancer. When they discovered the cancer, they gave him 2 months to live. Of course, he lived more. 2 years, but was a night when I was in my bedroom. He was in his bedroom, and I was feeling these gloves, like these white hands lift him. And I wake up and I went to his bedroom and I thought, Dad, are you okay? And he told me, yes, I'm okay. And I went to my bed again. The next morning he locked in my door and asked me, why you came, what you feel. And you know that I was feeling these beautiful gloves like angels lift you. And he told me, yes, I felt that. And I'm very peaceful, he told me. He was preparing to die. He died next day in a house. The other one was my mom. 6 months before she died, I see clear the way she's going to die. Of course, I received a call from her. I was working, and she called me. I have some pain in my leg, and okay, I'm going right now to take you in a hospital, and because I knew somehow it's going to. And I took her to the hospital. She stayed there for almost all day. They told me to go back to work, and they will call me when she's. They called me at 6. Okay, you can pick up your mom. I went to the hospital. I pick up my mom. I was with my little daughter, and then we went to house. But then my mom told me, I'm not feeling very well. And she was diabetic. I told her, I'm going to stop. I'm going to buy an apple for you. And my daughter was in the back. I told Sarah, if for some reason the grandmom gets worse, please call me. She called me in the window, Mom, come. She's not feeling well. But I brought the apple, and she was eating the apple. And we went to the house. We stopped the car. She told me, I'm going upstairs to the bathroom. And then I told, okay, I have some soup for you. I'm going to heat the soup, and I'm bringing the soup upstairs. When I came to the bathroom, she was already dead there in the bathroom. I took her. I tried to, recover her. My daughter was around. My dog was around. And I knew she's going to die. I saw it, and was for me very traumatized. After she died, I was looking to the mirror, and she was always in my back. I saw her, and I look at her, and she disappeared. And it's this type of experience I had. And this goes, and my daughter also had that gift when she born. Of course, she blocked herself, but I remember the teacher used to call me at home, at the school, to tell me, she's always looked to the window. She always looked to the window. And I asked one time to her, what do you see in the window? And she told, I see my grandmom. She's always there, look at me in the school. She has that gift. She's blocked herself. And I also blocked myself for some time. But I used to have this type of meetings with mediums, where I used to do surgeries with my finger and take pain for people. Of course, everything nobody knew that. It's like secret. We meet because I'm from Chaves, the north of Portugal. It's a Roman city, very close. Of course, they didn't understand this type of... But I used to do these sessions. I was having my work, but doing these sessions without any people. Nobody knew. It's like secret. But since I came to Lisbon, this was like a big change. I really thought I won't be myself. And I assume I have this, and my goal is this spiritual path. And I remember when New Year's even, I was thinking like, I'm ready to receive my partner. But this partner should have this spiritual path, because I'm not going to deny anymore. I want someone in my life really is in a path of spiritual path, and come and accept me the way I am, And I met Aniruddha in the end of that month. I wrote a letter also. And I burned the letter, and boom. I met Aniruddha. A friend of mine told me, it's a person, this American come to do a meditation in Hindu temple. Do you want to come? Yeah. I said, of course. Everything about meditation. And I went. When I saw him, it's like, wow, it's him. And he was teaching the meditation, and I felt that I knew this type of meditation. And then I did the workshop with him, and I have a beautiful experience in workshop. I began moving this like very slow. I remember like this, I was feeling in a different dimension, and my body was moving beautifully. And then I asked, I want a session with you, private session with you. And that was like done. I have this amazing experience. I was feeling him in the same time. I was in his body. And when he did the healing for me, I was giving birth. I was a Roman, like I have this shield, like a Roman type of war. Like I have this very quick experience. I thought, wow, it was amazing. Means for me, we activate each other. Was this feeling, we create this feeling like, I know, it's like we are two bodies. I can feel it. We come to this earth and, okay, we are the same oversoul, but we are split in two bodies.
Wow. So powerful. Amazing. I'd love to hear your side of that when you met for the first time as well.
Thank you for sharing that.
So incredible.
Pleasure.
You know, to go a little bit back, it is kind of humorous to me because I grew up in the 60s in California. So I grew up very identified with the hippie movement, rock and roll, and I always had long hair. And, you know, as soon as I could grow a beard, I pretty much my whole life have had a big beard, hair on my face. You know, and so, you know, I was more drawn to like cotton clothing and, you know, more gypsy style, so to speak, dress, you know, hippie style, you know. Mm-hmm. So Gautami was the very, you know, first person that I ever met that did not fit that picture at all. And I had never been attracted to a woman ever that would dress, or, you know, she had makeup. And, you know, when I first met her, you know, her hair was done, and you know, she was so different than anything that I would ever imagine being attracted to as a woman. Right? Just everything, you know, wasn't my style. So it was very interesting. She broke all my molds, and even today, you know, she dresses her way, right? And it is still, you know, today I'm still cotton. I always wear cotton. You know, I dress my way, you know. And she also had to adjust to the fact that I don't dress like a Portuguese. I don't wear clothes like a Portuguese. I'm, you know, so I always look a little different, and, you know, and I will dress, you know, maybe, you know, considered strange here. The way I dress would be considered strange. So for her, it was also a challenge because we would go out and I would, you know, so that aspect was very interesting, and I wouldn't have expected that I would end up partnering with her. But again, the connection, even though at first, it was only really when I did the private session with her. And I, you know, I did take the shield off. I pulled, you know, because when I do work, I pull things out of people, and it's from past lives. So I can pull knives out of people. I can pull armor off. I had to pull the shield off her. And I actually pull it off. I undo it and I rip the things off. So when that shows up, I free the past incarnational burden that they carry. So she was needing that pulled off. So it affected the way that she transitioned. So I can change kind of things in a quantum way. Hard to explain, but that's the best way to say it. So I changed the past.
I've experienced it with your massage. So
okay. So
massage.
Well, it's
It's important.
It's the best
work.
way.
It's a quantum massage.
Quantum experience.
So then, obviously, when I when I did the session, one of the things that we saw, besides she did give birth, all kinds of strange things happened. Obviously, it was really like pretty much an intense session for me for all the stuff that she went through. Mm-hmm. And I was able to facilitate, all this amazing stuff. And then I saw her, on my spaceship. I saw her literally with me, and we were like, Star Trek Enterprise, really advanced spaceship, and she was on the ship with me. And, kind of funny that she was like Spock. I was like Captain Kirk, but she was a female form. So, she was from a different planet, but we were lovers, like we were in love on, so she was from a different species than me. And we were on the ship, and we were, in love. And at that point, I realized that we were really connected in other dimensions. And that was not the past. That's still happening right now. So I mean, that part of me that I connected to does not die. So that part of me is present right now as I speak. So that is when I realized, whoa. And so I just had to drop all of my everything that about. So she broke all the boxes that I had. And, she's not so much athletic, I'm very athletic. I'm very physical. So, and so it was just this soul connection is what I would say. So we have this, or maybe, some type of soul contract, soul connection, but we have a very similar soul.
And it's interesting because we really live together without talking. Because I didn't speak English.
When I first met you.
I was speaking Portuguese. I didn't speak a word in English. And we lived together. Like these 2 years, living together without talking, feeling each other, was lovely. Was amazing. We have a roommate used to translate to us our conversations because we didn't speak English. Of course, I was trying to download Portuguese version, but he couldn't. But I did by myself. I thought I want to download the English because I want to communicate with my husband. Of course, everybody, how that. It's impossible. Live with a person you can talk
wow.
But you are feeling each other. We didn't need the conversations. Right. We didn't need words. This feeling connection, the heart connection, was.
It was easier, you could say.
Easy because when we talk.
It's probably.
So,
because you can say what you like and they won't understand.
I think sometimes my partner wishes I wouldn't talk.
Yes, exactly. That kind of thing. So our bond.
Sometimes it's better to not understand.
We created a bond through the silence that allowed us to. To make it to where we are today. Again, we are in a way very different in how we would communicate. So, and we do live in different, ways. We have different orientations, but we have a soul love that bypasses everything. Right. So, it doesn't mean that the human in the, interaction of partners, I wouldn't say it's easy. It's always been a little challenging for both of us because we're very different. But our soul connection, that love, is strong enough to maintain the human dramas that we have, between us.
Interesting.
Yes.
And speaking about soul connection and orientations, how do you manage to stay truth and connected to your spirit in this world that is so, I would say, described, so developed and so defined? How do you manage to stay true to your heart calling with all this technology and all this noise and having to be a part of the community and the material world?
Well, like I said before, I can't disconnect. I can't, no matter how hard I try. Okay, so then the question doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
I can't stop it. I can try. I mean, I could get drunk. I could do drugs. I could go screaming and yelling like an idiot. But there would be always, when I stopped, I would always have the same. I wouldn't be able to get away from it. So that's something I said I'm lucky in a way, right? So, but I understand because I've lived, again, the drama. I am, I'm in a human form, so I know human. I know depression. I know difficulty. I know pain. I know all the emotions of human, but I don't identify so much as the human. But so that makes me a good therapist. I've seen death right before my eyes, like her. I held my child dead in my arms. I've gone through horrendous pains. I've walked a path most people wouldn't survive. I would never wish what I've experienced on anyone. I should be dead many times over. So, that gives me the ability. I understand how difficult it is to be here, but I never lost the connection. So it allowed me to, not take my life. In many cases, most people would probably in the situations that I've been in. I never was able, because I knew the connection that I couldn't leave it, right? So then I knew I had to be here. It was always like I didn't have a choice. My life was saved so many times. It's like, because it was like, no, you can't go. It's like, no, you have to come back. You have to be here. So I've transitioned a couple times, tried to get out of my body and leave, and they made me always come back. So I know the other side. I've actually left my body and tried to leave, and they made me come back. She knows the same. She's died.
I have
She's died and come back.
Died.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I did a session with someone last night. They died right on the table. At the very end, they died right in my hands on the table, and I blew in their forehead. I blew them back in their body. And then I didn't know he was conscious of what happened and he said, oh my God. He says, I died. He said,
the old version.
Yeah. And I was like, and he literally said, I had a heart surgery and I died on the operating table. And he says, that was exactly what just happened to me. And I blew on his forehead. I blew him back in his body. So that was a little. That was last night.
That was
in a session.
intense.
So if you come work with me, don't worry, I won't let you die.
No, you bring people back to life.
I'm gonna help you, but if you need to come out temporarily and go back in, it'll be a better version. So for whatever reason, it happened right at the very end, and I had my hands on his head when it happened.
So we're talking near-death experiences.
Yes.
Well, I mean, again, understanding that we tried to leave, and we weren't allowed. We were.
And how was it for you, Gautami?
For me, it was a beautiful. It's like, for me, was this experience die is like going this tunnel very quickly and see my life in seconds, everything like a seconds. Yeah. And then I see this bright light, and I was listening piano, arpa, and violin. This beautiful sound. And I come back, and always I have this type of experience. I have three experience, and always this tunnel, like my life in seconds, and then this beautiful music. And I'm very connected with music, sound. I can listen sounds. In my house, we are always 24 hours music at home, always 24 hours. And I love to work with sound, my voice. I also channel light language. And this sound it's very natural on me. And I still don't know why I still have that experience. I don't know yet. I didn't understand why I had that. It's a mystery. But for me, I have a lot of insights. I need to, the world sometimes is very overwhelmed. Of course, it is for me. And I really need to take my time back for myself. It's the way I come to my center again. I like to sit. But interesting, when I sit, I still are in different dimensions. Of course, sometimes you are here talking, and maybe people say, oh, she's not here. She's, you know, and I really is a lot of information sometimes I receive, and maybe some people feel like she's not present with me, she's not listening me, but I can listen a lot in the same time. It's like, I don't know how I explain this.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
very complex. I don't have words in this dimension to explain my experience. It's very complex. I don't have words. I'm very sorry,
You know,
but
I just had an insight, so I'll tell you. I've never seen this before, but because we have the same soul, she lives in her soul chakra, and I live in my heart chakra. So literally, I ground her, and then she opens and helps me in multidimensionally. But she lives literally more in her soul chakra. So that would be above her head. It's a little different than the 12th chakra. So we have 12 major chakras. So, and I just saw it right now. She's really anchored, and that's her anchor. And mine is the heart. I'm anchored through the heart. Now, both of those chakras are universally connected, so to speak, but they would be very, very different. So it gives her, you know, obviously she can understand it, but it's very confusing, like she says, because she's more multidimensionally connected all the time. And then I'm, you know, connected in my heart, so I'm a little more maybe grounded. I have a connection with the earth and our solar system. You know, I'm more solar system connected, but she's more galactically connected. So, you know, she's in other.
Yeah, I can feel that.
And I see things like I remember one time we were in Brazil. My stepdaughter was like maybe 5 years old. We are in this park,
she sees things for sure.
and she lost her crystal, and she left that crystal, and she told me, Gautami, please ask your guides. I want this crystal, please, please, please. And there's all this sand in the park, and I told Ananda, I really don't like to use, you know, the information, go ask for these little things, you know. I like to help people. Please, please, but 5 years old child, how you can tell no, you know? That okay, it's right there. And she went there, oh, my crystal, and she found in the sand. Many times. One time was already like 16, she lost the ring. Gautami, I left that ring. Please, where it is? Please, please. Okay, go to the car. It's in the back of the car there. And she found it. But I really don't like to do these things. It's not, I'm not an oracle. I don't like people see me like that. I won't feel, when people come to me, I really want them to feel who they are, or the connection, you know, their soul. And they really have this experience, special when I really channel light language. They travel. This is very powerful for them. But really, we are one. And, you know, when we merge with each other, we are here, and we are changing codes, energetic codes. And, of course, we are one. You know, like we cry and you tear and you feel it, you know. I think it's very important you really show our emotions. It's a very beautiful portal to open ourselves. Emotions, it's so, so important. We're vulnerable because it's like a gate. Why? Because we feel sad, we feel anger, we feel all that. But this all, we need to accept that, because you can't be in same emotion all the time. Energy is like a waves. Like if you feel anger, okay, feel anger, you know. Maybe use the anger to go clean the house or go and walk. Use in a good way, in your favor, you know. And then it will pass. But of course, when we get stuck in that emotion, they crystallize and get like bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you get overwhelmed. But if you accept it, the energy do the work and goes away, you know. And we understand why I'm angry, why I'm feeling this right now. And also, we are so connected right now. The energy of the earth is rising, and we feel each other. And sometimes it's not, the emotion is not us, it's the collective. We are feeling the collective. I stand up many times during the night, meditation. I meditate 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock because I know something is going to happen. This one time was in Brazil that in Porto Alegre that flow happened. 3 days I knew this, how I was meditating. They told me, meditate, sit and meditate. And I was meditate. I knew when things happen in earth, like I feel in my system, and I feel a lot of pain. I feel like very heavy, like a tractor path through me. And I know something is going to happen. But what I do? I go and sit and I meditate, I connect, because the power of the meditation can change everything. If you really sit and meditate, it's like this Merkaba body expand, and go in the neighborhood and go in the neck. It's like we are like a trees, you know, and we have a branch. Maybe that branch is a little weak, but if the other branch are strong, it will affect that branch is weak. You know, and we are a tree, and the neighbor tree gets stronger because this tree is stronger, and then we affect another tree, and then this is like the humanity, you know, and we need really focus in ourselves, because we can't help the world if you don't help ourselves. We really need to focus in ourselves, and it's not selfish. It's really your energy field is going to affect other people if you work in yourself. Go deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah, she makes a good point, which will bring us more to how we do healing. You know, in the way that we do healing, you know, we would heal issues of the past. We would actually go and help someone to heal something and, you know, connect to it. Or if we're doing a healing meditation, it's the opportunity to release something from the past, some energy that is stuck. So, you know, in the work that we might do with others is, you know, we can kind of feel what is going to cause this earthquake. So sometimes people will come to us before they're going to have a crisis. They'll like be feeling something, and we kind of see that there's an energy there that needs to be cleared, because they could get really a disease, or they could have some, you know, health crisis, right? And you know, when we see these things, we kind of know, ooh, wow, this person needs, you know, this. They should go to the doctor. They gotta, you know, we can kind of see where their body has red flags. So we can go and look at what's the cause of that red flag. And it may take us to their childhood, and it may take us to other lifetimes. And because, again, you know, we have this interesting way of working, you know, in a quantumly, that we can go back and address the issue. And some of them may be tasks. So they may be like what we would call constellation. They may be in the family. They may be from the grandmother, the grandfather. They may go back. I can go back 9 generations. So I can go back and do healing for you in the moment, going back up to 9 generations in your ancestry, changing that all the way back there, and kind of just altering the way the DNA comes through. You know, in the most advanced levels, then I end up in the embryonic fluid when you're in your mother's womb. And then I change it there. I bring light. I change the embryonic fluid. And then I go back, you know, and I'm right there when you're born. And then I take you and I just bring that all the way back to your heart and plant it right back in your chest. So, you know, that's a way I have the way to describe what I do. And I can see when she talks, I can see things like, you know, and I have the ability as an orator. I can speak. Okay, I can do healing and I can teach. You know, and I've been told that. That's what I'm here to do. So I have that, and I've accepted just recently, you know, being the smiling Aquarian yogi. You know, that's who
He's
I
always
am.
laughing.
I always have a smile. That's what the doctors try to do. They're telling me you
Stop
shouldn't always be
smiling.
smiling, right?
Yes.
So there's something wrong with you. You're always smiling. So I've just, you know, in the last year, just accepted that I am the smiling Aquarian yogi. And I'm probably going to write a book, and it's going to be that the autobiography of the smiling Aquarian. So I probably will.
I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
read this book.
Yeah, it'll be fun because I'll bring light into all of the shadows I went through. I'll bring it because I can do it from this point of view. So I can bring a little light into some of the very difficult situations I experience, and I can shine.
Yeah, I feel like it's important for you to share these tools because maybe people are going through similar experiences and they don't have that connection to themselves to really experience a way to go through that. For me, I went through a situation when I was younger. When I was about 20, I tried to end my life, and it was because at that time, that was the thing that made sense for me emotionally and logically. And when you were speaking about the emotions, I think going through life where you can feel emotions, sometimes when they become overwhelming, and you don't have any like tools how to handle that. And especially in today's society, we're kind of taught to like shut off from our emotions and connect more to the phone or something else. It's difficult for people who don't have the tools to actually go through that. So
Yes.
I think for you guys, since you have these like natural gifts to connect, what do you suggest for people who are maybe not so connected to that space, how they can kind of go down that path?
Right. Well, I mean, I would recommend one thing. I'm an anchor, so I can help you find what you're seeking. Okay. I'm just going to be starting up a series of mastery courses of self-mastery. So, so I would recommend you go and you find someone that can help you. So I think because I found yogis when I was young. I had teachers my whole life. People told me things. When you hear the truth, you can never forget it. So
That's
when someone
true.
speaks
That's
the
true.
truth to you, you will never forget it. And there's one thing I want to talk about real quick that we just mentioned, and that is emotion. Emotion is your connection to God. It's your connection to spirit. That's it. It is emotion. Now, it doesn't mean, now I will make a definition because she talked about something. Egoic emotion is based on fear and anger. So you have to understand there's a difference between some emotion of anger and some emotions, that may be negative emotions. So I will just make a definition here that some negative emotions will take you away from your spirit. But a mother may have emotions of anger around something the child is going to do. The mother may give discipline to a child and have emotions of anger to protect the child's life. So within the context of love, you can have emotions that would be considered like angry. Anger can be a way of protection. It's natural. You can have emotions of sadness. It's natural. Grief is a natural process. Okay. Again, you wouldn't want to over-identify, and you can't become violent from the anger, or you can't become depressed from the grief, which is not so easy to do. People do have a tendency maybe to over-identify with it. So we do need to be aware within the polarity of a unified consciousness, within that polarity, love has sadness, love has some anger, love has emotions. Because again, it's a polarity that is called a uni field. It's anyway, it's a unified field, and there is a polarity there. There's lights. It's not the oneness has a parameter within the oneness, a polarity within the oneness. It's a uni-electromagnetic field. So there's an electromagnetic energy in it, but it's what we call. Anyway, it's a unified field, and there is electromagnetics, but it's not a polar electromagnetic. It's a uni-electromagnetics. So on that level, emotion is the spiritual connection. It's your connection to God. And right brain, in the past we were left-brained, and that's why there's war, there's killing, and there's violence. There's logic, this is right and that is wrong. But right brain, when you have right brain anchoring, that's your emotion. It's a feminine aspect. It's your feminine brain. So again, there's ways that you In the new human, we shift from left brain anchoring to right brain anchoring. And the cell phone is designed to keep you left brain. Okay? And you pretty much are going to have false emotional contact from a left brain perspective. You'll have scientific, you'll justify why it's okay to kill, why it's okay to poison, why it's okay to do this, why it's okay to do that. That's a left brain thing. But from right brain, you would never. Okay, you can't justify it. So again, we need to switch. Humanity is left brain anchored, and we need to get them in the cell phone is keeping you there. But again, I don't want to. We can do another interview about some of the things that distract us. But when you right brain anchor and you come into the cerebral, you come up. This is a single brain, even though it's in the front of the brain. So when you get more of that, that's where you're living in a more of an alpha brainwave. So you're using both left and right brain. It's not that when you're right brain, it's not that you don't use the left. It's your anchor. Okay, the brain is unified because you're here, you're cerebral. So that means both brains are equally working. You're not going from one to the other in a right brain anchor. In a left brain anchor, you're either left and then you jump to the right. It's because it's more dualistic oriented. But right brain anchoring is a unified consciousness.
Okay, can you exercise how to stay in the right brain anchor?
Well, you breathe through your heart, okay? So you learn to breathe through your heart. You learn, to be rather than think. So you learn the difference and also the gaps. You have to know the gaps, okay? And the gap is at the top of the breath, at the bottom of the breath. And the gap is a space between decisions. Okay, so that when you are going to make a decision, there's always the voice of the ego telling you, do this, do that, do this. And the gap would give you the ability to choose. You do not react. It's a witness state. The gap is the witness. It's the observer. So the mind comes in. It will always come in. It will always have answers. And then you have to be present and decide what's best in the moment. You don't follow the answer. So rather than react, because the mind wants you to react, to keep you left, you respond. And you respond from a choice. And obviously love. You respond from love. And that means if you need to raise your voice with someone, you do. If you need to get angry, you get angry. You respond in the moment. What does an actor do? The actor at the end that's the hero. The actor's fighting, the actor's doing things. You're confused about this actor. Is he doing this? Is he doing that? The actor may lie. The actor may do all kinds of things. But in the end of the movie or the book, you realize, whoa, the actor ends up having your admiration, right? But during the story of the book, there were times when you questioned, why did he do that? You questioned it, but at the end you realize, whoa, that was a very amazing, whoa, you get it, So that's where breathing through the heart, you have a mouth right here, your ears are right here, you smell from right here, everything is here, your hands, you touch from here. Realize that's where, you see this, but this is where you're anchoring. So that's a little different. But then she has an extraordinary gift. She's up in the, soul chakra. She's up there. But I'll tell you, that wouldn't be so easy to live with either. So again,
Right.
But that's who she is. Again, she comes again from that, lineage, whatever you want to call it. So if she can handle it. And then with meeting me, it was really appropriate because I anchor her. And yet she helps me. So we are, in a way, the same soul. We're called twin souls.
More the oversoul connection.
Yeah, oversoul. Yeah, she's in the top of the tree, and I'm in the trunk and roots. So yeah, she lives in the top of the tree, and I'm trunk and roots. I feed the fruit. I'm the she's up there at the leaves.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, and I really have an earth, and I work with electromagnetics and stuff. So.
Okay, but that leads me to the question, because many people throughout all their life, they will not be able to transcend from the first three chakras to the upcoming higher chakras. So as for being rooted in the heart or being rooted in the intuition and so on, maybe it's unavailable for many people, these higher frequency states. How would you say, for some people who might be watching, who don't understand what you're talking about at all, how to tap into these higher frequencies and deeper connection with the spirit?
Okay, we have different ways, but I want to say mine first. Mine is you do not go up ever. If you want to know God or you want to know who you are, go down, descend. So mine is never go through the top of your head. God will come through. Let the angels come through. Don't go up. This is the earth right here. Now the tree will grow, right? But you got to feed the roots. The tree only grows because of the roots. Your job is to create healthy soil, to give the ability for the tree to root, to anchor. The tree will grow by itself because the sun is always shining. You don't do anything to make, the sun makes the tree grow up. That's God. God caused it. So I will focus for people not to focus on the upper chakras. But, you know, again, when you're looking at going down, you know, again, now it's, you know, you're going down through the lower centers, say, but it's really, everything is in the heart. Okay, so my reality is everything is through the heart. So, you know, if you're living from here and you're established here, everything is done from here. Okay, so it's from the heart. So really there is no up and down, you know. And again, how would you get to that frequency? Again, you just focus on the heart. Now, the problem is in the process of focusing on the heart, if you really go deeply through connecting to the heart, you know, you're going to lose lust. You're going to lose cravings for pleasure because they're not pure. You're going to find true pleasure, and, you know, rather than it being like people getting caught in tantra, you know, everything tantra, right? It's just a big distraction. It's like just another distraction. So, you know, there's a natural way you'll understand the emotion from the heart. And if you aren't anchored here and you work in the lower chakras, you know, the ego is going to come in and you're going to have desires and lust and, you know, want pleasures, and you're going to go after that whole world. And then, you know, hers she can only speak about because hers
For
is not
me,
so
it's very
easy.
simple. I'm sure what happened to me when I was a child. Yeah, what I did to go back to my center is go to my room. In that moment, I was doing Raja meditation with open eyes, because with my eyes, I can see this light and everything. But I was listening my heart. Like, it's a type of meditation, a very simple meditation. You sit and you try to listen the beat of your heart. Of course, in the beginning, it's very accelerated. You feel like, but then you go back. Of course, a thought come, oh, I need to cook something, oh, I need to do this. But look to the thoughts, like you go in a train and see this image, you know, and okay, are there, and go back to your breathing and go feeling the heartbeat. And then you do this, or ever many times you need to do. You get a point where you merge with the heart, your spiritual heart, and you don't listen to the heart. It's like this silence. That from there is when we receive the information, the healing, or ever. But of course, for me, this worked for me, and I still do that today. But some people feel the cooking, go cooking, you know, be with the cooking, or dancing, or piano. My dad used to come to the work and play piano until the time of dinner, and we listened this piano in the house was beautiful. You know, this soul connection. Everyone has their own feeling, you know, and I think each one they need to try to find what really connects them, you know, and you need to really be truth with ourselves. because sometimes you go in the phones or go in this, but it's a distraction, of course. But everyone has their own feeling of the connection, go back to the center, and they need really be honest and how, because we are all different, you know. For me, meditation is very important. I really love to meditate. And I can meditate walking in a street, so listen to music or cooking. Like cooking, I meditate. I like to put all the love in the food. And I like to, when we have our plate, I like to have all colors in a plate. It's like this type of coloring feeling, you know, feel my body. Of course, when we eat, we acknowledge the food always. We ask, we are grateful for the food we have, of course. We pray before we put anything in our body, because it's also a very important thing to do. Everything is a meditation, you know, isn't it?
Yeah,
Life
so
is
practice.
a ceremony.
Yeah, it's a practice. You know,
Yes.
you know, we are human beings, so we're not human doings. We're not human thinkings, right? So when we start to just slow down, maybe if, you know, people are wondering how they can do this, you know, it's an evolution and it is a process. You know, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So, you know, you start having a lifestyle. You look at what serves you and what doesn't. Like, I work with people all the time. Many people do drugs when they come to see me. They're on medications, you know. And I don't really care. I just tell them how does this serve you? Well, how is it serving you? You know, and if you can get to the point where you realize that, where you start to think about how does this serve me? What am I getting from this? What are the consequences of this? You know, you start living your life more responsible. Responsibility. The ability to respond. And there's the gap again. So, you know, it can be simple. Of course, we have music in our room. You know, I mean, I, for over 20 years, drink water out of blue glass, and I charge it in the sunlight. So here's 20 years of drinking water with blue glass.
Why?
Or why blue glass? Yeah.
Well, Ho'oponopono, it helps you clear emotions. It's an emotional clearing. So it's a high frequency, cobalt blue. So then you sun charge it, you know, again. When you start to live your life where your practices, your self-care includes a long-term goal. Like, I train people in physical. I also do like gym training stuff. I train young guys and stuff. I'm a calisthenics. I do all kinds of stuff, yoga and stuff. So the thing is long-term goals. You know, can you have long-term goals? And I do 5 years. My goal, I do 5-year goals, and I complete them usually in 3, sometimes 2. But I make 5-year goals. So that's a very important thing. Slowing down, you know, you got to make these goals, life choices, self-care. So that's how you do it. Don't tell me you can't do it. Bullshit.
Yes.
Right.
We all
You
can.
know,
No, we
everybody-
can.
Yeah.
No, I have then a question. And this question is this. How do you, because, okay, we're talking about finding a way to higher frequencies. And then what is the difference between my higher self, and the God?
I mean, for one, you have to look at what are your belief systems, what are your definitions of that. So depending
That's
on...
what I'm asking you.
Okay, so depending on your belief systems and definitions, you know, your answers may be different. But ultimately, the higher self, right, that whatever you want to call the I am, okay, it's the same thing as God. Okay, the only, you know, difference is it's like the God is the ocean and you are a drop in the ocean. Okay, so you realize you are the ocean and you are a drop. God is vast. God is the entire ocean. But you and God are the same. So, you know, that it's a simple thing, you know. That's what the beauty of Taoism and the Tao Te Ching, and, you know, I have my favorite book, the Sing Sing Ming, one of the greatest books in the world, 7 pages. That's it. But, you know, you have to kind of sort of understand the mysteries. And that's why there's poetry and there's music. There's dance and there's art. You know, we're all drops in the tapestry of life. We're all threads, or we're colors on the tapestry of life. You know, but it's a big canvas. It's a big ocean. So
Okay, so if this is true and we are in our higher selves, the God, why so many people are becoming in their own path to the God? Why we can be our best friend and our best enemy, worst enemy?
Left brain, duality, identification. You're not in your heart. You're not really.
Earth is a school.
Yeah, Earth is the school for sure.
That I think is.
University of life.
You need to graduate, you know? It's like...
This is the university of life.
Yeah.
This is the university. Are you going to make it? But when you come here now, I'll just say one thing. You come here to make it where your ancestors didn't.
It's like the tree, the branches.
Yeah.
The wise
you
tree.
have a task. So this has become a little more complicated.
And then we go to healing the lineage.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
We
And
have to
right
do it.
now is what's happening
it's
right now.
happening
We are
now,
really go through the process of healing the tree.
Yeah, right.
Because maybe
now.
I'm my grandmama, go through, you know, and I come here to, you know.
I have truth bombs. It's very present.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
And
So
it's a beautiful
it's-
opportunity, you know.
Yeah. There's a lot of work
and
to
that
do
is
right now.
is like we can't judge anymore. You know, when we go through that process, it's like how we can judge my grandmama, or, you know. I'm here now. It's my time, and I can. This is the opportunity.
How do you do it? You just, when the emotion comes up, say in general, there's only love, and then duality, there's fear. So we live in this world where there's love and there's fear. You know, but ultimately, there's only love. That's your I am, and yet we're stuck here. So how would you do that? When fear comes up or something comes up, you just breathe in through your heart. When I do healing, I just get people to breathe in, because when there's fear,
Contraction.
contract, protect, shield. Right? It's exactly what fear is. So you access, when that comes up, you immediately, you just breathe into it. And you go and breathe in, and you know, there is no, in a quantum reality, there is no past and future. So if you really are just in the present and you're breathing in to the fear, even if it does come from the past, which it can, the brain doesn't know the difference. The brain doesn't know any difference between, there's no time in the brain. It just, you know, so if you just access some experience and you breathe in, and right then and there, the memory is held in a exhale. So you get the brain, you get to that memory, and boom, you breathe in.
That's
and the brain
fascinating because we actually connected through the ice bath, and you've done the ice bath with me a few times, and this is the experience that I have when I go into the ice bath. It's kind of facing that fear and allowing yourself to breathe through it. For a lot of people, it can be quite a scary thing to go into like a water full at like 3 degrees temperature. And then if you allow yourself to bring those fears up and then actually like release them in the ice bath, because then at that moment you're super present. There's nowhere to escape, and it brings you back to your body and back to where you're at.
Yeah. In the self-mastery courses I'm going to teach, I teach people how to control stress. So, you know, I'll tell you a great measurement. If you want to really find out how mature someone is, like if they seem evolved spiritually, put them under pressure. Okay? So you see a lot of people walking and talking, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to really see if they can walk their talk, put them under pressure. And that way you'll see they're established. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with walking and talking, but a lot of people do it like a mask. It's not really real. They're just pretending, and they, you know, sit there and they're teaching and whatever they're doing, you know, but they're a parrot.
I really resonate with that. Many times it's normal we have obstacles. It's normal we have disagreements. It's normal we have challenges in life. but the mastery, as you say, the self-mastery lies in how we approach these challenges and which way we navigate through them.
Yeah, I mean, I now consider myself like a human performance specialist. So I work with people, and I will, if I do training, I'll put you under extreme stress. I'll make you go to the edges of what you consider stress, like the ice bath is the same. And you learn to control it. So if you do ice baths, if you learn to control the stress. I take cold showers, right? At first it was difficult. Now I never take hot showers. I always take cold showers. It's like only once in a rarity do I take a warm shower. But at first I had to learn to control the stress of the cold water. And then once I learned that, I actually enjoy it more than warm water. I enjoy it. But it's, again, I had to learn to control the stress. And that's what life is about. If we can learn to be in control of stress, there's self-mastery. So that's really all self-mastery is about.
Can you tell us a little, how to call it? Little spoiler about... A tip or a spoiler from your self-mastery courses that's going to come about how to control the stress?
Well, I mean, there's different ways to do it. One, having, like, say, Shani come for one of the events with the ice bath. So there would be a nice way. So I'd have him come to one of the events sometime with an ice bath. Other ways are to, put yourself in a situation, say even holding the breath or exhaling out and staying as long as you can, or inhaling as long as you can, or breathing as slow as you can. Putting yourself in a situation where there's this struggle, because you need to learn to relax, and you can. And again, with a little bit of practice, all of a sudden you realize, you can, breathe extremely slow, but it took a little practice, and then you feel actually really good. So there's ways that I do it, again, and not any fast breathing. I do it more slowing things down. But the other thing is putting people in anatomical positions where, they have to maintain it for at least 40 seconds to over a minute, 40 seconds minimum. And then you do cortical mapping. So then there's this cortical mapping going on. I mean, I'm a scientist, okay? So then, you'll have the body immediately will have a different reaction to it, and you'll be able to actually get results really, really fast. So I work on it.
What is anatomic positions?
Well, again, putting someone in a position like a V sit, or holding their legs off the ground a few inches, and then just telling them, don't touch the ground, right? Or even, lifting their head up off the ground into a certain position and tell them hold the position as long as you can. Okay, so any kind of thing like that. But yeah, there's ones, so you do a yogic position, down dog, and just tell them, okay, stay. Right. Well, there's a certain point where, you're going to be shaking, and there's a point where you have to come out. So if you do it again, and you maintain a certain amount of time, at least 40 seconds, it's a thing called cortical mapping. Immediately the body goes in biologically to a place that, okay, we need this. And so the body does what it needs to do to give that to you. Same with staying in an ice bath. You stay in an ice bath at least 40 seconds and you get very relaxed, and you learn to stay up to a minute. You do that a few times and boom, no problem. The next time you go in, 40 seconds a minute is easy. It doesn't take very long. Very, very quickly the body will get to where you can get comfortable. But of course you are doing that with not identifying and thinking, because obviously, there's a difference between thinking and being in the ice at the moment. And so you do have to kind of have a little bit of meditation practice. Meditation is just a place of being able to witness the mind, because it ain't going to stop. Okay, it's like waiting to go swimming when the ocean is completely with no waves. And it's just as flat as a lake, right? No waves. Well, how often is that going to happen? Right? It does happen, but are you going to wait? So that means, and what if you're not there when the ocean goes, So that's the whole idea, is that you're never going to get it to stop. So it's more being present and not identifying with the thoughts. And that's what the great thing about ice baths or any kind of training that I train people in. They can't get distracted. They have to have 100% attention. If they can learn to focus that much attention and focus within 40 seconds, they can learn to do it. And once that happens, the brain, the cortical mapping will happen. And then they can become extremely present. And then they can learn to do that under huge stress and not react at all. There's self-mastery right there. So, yeah, and it's fun. I work with people, and no one's going to come to me that doesn't want to know it. They have to want to know this. And they will go through, I'll torture you as much as needed. We'll have fun doing it, because if you're not smiling while I'm torturing you, you're not doing it right.
Smiling.
Yeah, remember, if you're not smiling in what you're doing it wrong. Okay? No matter how difficult it is. Notice the difference. Clean a toilet, smiling. Do the things you don't like, smiling. Find out what happens. I teach smiling meditation. Don't make it difficult. Follow the energy of a smile. Sit there and stay with the smile. That's meditation. My words of wisdom, God realization is as simple as a smile. That's it. Ponder that.
This resonates with me a lot.
I was once told that I don't smile enough, so when I smile, I feel the difference, and you
have a beautiful smile.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so
I
this
was told that I smile too much.
You get sent to the doctor.
That's why we're a partnership, good partnership.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's a training. It's a lifestyle. It's long-term commitment. Anybody can do it. But a lot of people are needing some support and some help because they're looking for it. But the world is left brain oriented, so they're looking for it in duality. And of course, you need to find where someone is more present and anchored, sort of not in their heart, again, in a less of a dualistic way, like to get something. There's nothing to get, in being. You are that,
Okay, then I have another question, and it's a very important question because, Gautami, you said you have access to maybe all the answers?
No.
Or most of the answers?
I don't have any.
But you have a big access to many answers, right?
I don't know if it's our answers.
Okay, and you also have it. So can you guys feel connected to like enlightenment? Do you feel like you've already reached the place of enlightenment?
No way.
Because you have such a strong presence that from this conversation, this moment, I would be not surprised.
The presence
if this is
is not about us. It's about what we are creating right now here. You feel this because you are creating some feel. It's not we have some special thing. It's not that.
It is.
So do you believe everyone can tap into these higher spaces?
Okay, so, I'm a little bit different in this. Okay, so.
Yeah, it's because I love you. We are different.
I'm a little
the way
different.
the approach.
The concept you're talking about, I live that. Okay, 24 hours a day. Now, it took me, until just within the last year. It took me until within just the last year to realize that. Even though I've had it my whole life. Okay, to realize that. Okay, but there's a beautiful thing. Someone asked me, and I just did an interview that's being, posted. And, it was just like 3 days ago, I realized something. They asked me, how do you maintain protection?
Oh, that is also a question they asked me.
And I just 3 days ago, I realized something. At first, I answered the interview as, well, you're a light. You're a light. What protection do you need? But then I kind of sat with it deeply, and I realized somebody can throw a blanket over a light. So then I'm like, oh, wow, okay, interesting. So then I realized I'm a flame. I'm the flame of love. You better not get close to me unless you're the flame of love. And if you're not the flame of love, I, in my nature, will burn you.
To transform you into love.
Well, or at least to burn off the dross, whatever, to burn whatever isn't the love, right? Because ultimately, my nature is, say, this flame of love, this violet flame. That's my nature. I need nothing. My nature is love can come, other flames can come, we can do everything together. This is the unified field. This is the fifth dimension. This is living from your heart. But nothing can come close to me that is not of love, because my nature is this flame. So what I realize now is that's much more powerful, because I used to think I was more a light into the world, and blankets got thrown over me. Rocks got thrown at me. But, I just now turn up my flame. Okay? So, if you turn a flame up high enough, it will melt rock. It will,
It's also a question they ask me about how I protect myself, But when you ask that question, why you need to protect? When you feel you need to protect, you are in fear. That is a frequency, it's energy.
Yeah.
And of course, if you are in that fear, we will attract that same of frequency. But we need to remember, normally I have this thing, like you remember you have like a sun in your heart, like this bright sun. And the sun is like this warm and like this light, and you are that, and that moment, remember that, because you are become invisible for the other low frequencies and how they get you.
Yeah. So she's saying the same thing, the sun.
But it's the sun. I use the sun and you use the flame.
Yeah, well, just recently I realized, because I've always identified with the light. And then when I looked at my life, I realized, blankets have been thrown over me. Things have blocked my light, and I could turn the light on, but I was covered and surrounded by this box, this blanket, I was thrown into rooms and the doors were closed, so to speak, right? And because I hadn't gotten mature enough to understand that, I just, there's no way to stop the flame. I can just breathe in and make it big enough, I'll just burn the house down. I'll melt the walls. Wow. Even steel, again, everything will melt, everything. So again, that was a really cool analogy. I'm not a light into the world. I'm a flame into the world. So, because I work, with the Christ energy, the same consciousness. And so that was just so, and it was only a few days ago. I was like, wow, that's exactly right. So, and that was just 3 days ago. I came to the realization, that's not the right analogy, telling people they're a light. The sun. Like
I do the sun always.
Yeah, but I've never heard her verbalize
But it's
it.
interesting because some people feel the sun is out, like the rays go out. But for me, the sun is go out and in. You understand? Like I become the sun.
Yeah.
Because in and out, like this type of.
Very cool. I've never heard you say the sun, so this interview
is what
is
I
great.
ask, because people ask me that question. Is what I always...
You say the sun?
Yes.
I never heard it. She says it in Portuguese, and I don't catch
yes.
it.
It's beautiful. It's the first time I hear something like this, and it really reminds me my 22-year-old self when I departed on my solo travels around the world, and my mother was so afraid of me, and I was explaining her that, Mom, I am light. Even if I meet the worst person in the world who feeds from evil, if they see me for this 24 hours, they will be in this light, and I have this possibility to like really bring light to these people who are bad, so don't worry for me. And my mother was like, no, damn. She's like, she lost it, like no connection.
Right.
But also when you feel other people are bad, we are in separation. Because we are all one, we are all connected, we are the branch of the same tree.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you reach enlightenment, you see things as they are. I don't see evil. I see exactly what is. I see things as they are. I don't see duality. I see things as they are. So, you know, you don't have definitions of good and bad. Things just are as they are. Their
Okay,
nature.
but there are just things that are like objectively evil.
In again,
Like violence
yeah, sure.
and-
In the terminology of duality, yes, but in the eyes of God, no, because you know you can't understand the beauty of light without darkness. If there was only light, you have no way to perceive it.
Of course, but
So-
then it's duality.
I know we have the University of Life. We come here to learn. So, you know, as much as I look forward to the day that I get to complete my mission and go home. Because it is difficult here. I'm not denying that. I mean, wait till you read my book. I mean, it's not easy, but the ultimate end of the chapters are that, you know, the realization that we are the sun. Of course, the sun sheds light, but the idea that not only, you know, can you not cover the sun, you can't contain this. You might be able to contain a light, to put a cover over the light, but you cannot contain the sun.
Because if you go deeper and you see, like you tell, this is bad person because he or she is acting with this action. If you go deeper, maybe this person has a very difficult time in maybe childhood and become that for protect themselves, you know, like attacked because they've been, you know.
Of course,
And
yes.
you need to go
Compassion,
deeper and feel this compassion,
Exactly.
go deeper, you know, because behind all these people acting as bad, as someone insecure or have fear or trauma, you know, and become that.
Exactly.
With love, like when we look to the person with the judgment eyes, we are not helping the person. But if you see the person with these compassion eyes, you will affect the person in a good way, like, you know, accepting, you know.
And also the love energy, it kind of it involves all the lower energies.
Yeah.
So like you can contain this negative or
Yes.
not so positive frequencies in the love.
We've been groomed. We've been groomed to polarize, to separate, you know, to feel separate from God. We've been groomed that way, you know, we've been groomed non-emotionally. We've been groomed intellectually. So, you know, again, the Aquarian age, this new earth, is about shifting the frequency to where there is no duality. You know, we're going to shift back into a place where duality doesn't exist. But you could say we've been kept separate. We've been kept separated from our unity, our spirit, on purpose. So yes, there is a negative manipulative factor. You know, you could say that we all have reptilian brains plus 23 other extraterrestrial species in our DNA. But the reptilian brain has been altered. It's not the original. The original reason we have a reptilian brain in the back of the skull is just because of the earth, you know, hunting and, you know, we have to go out and hunt to feed the tribe. And, you know, there's things we have to chop down trees, you know, so we need that reptilian brain to be the proper amount of destruction, the proper amount of, you know, things where we would take and, you know, minor killing, so to speak, right? But on a survival basis.
Right.
But it's been overstimulated by a manipulating factor, which makes us kill other human beings, not natural, and makes us go to war and makes us do bad things. So in some ways, we have been manipulated. There has been an overdevelopment of that, which is biologically not bad. I mean, you know, this reptilian, like technology is not bad, but the way it's being used. You know, there's nothing wrong with technology. 5G can be used to heal the whole world. If you just play the right frequencies in all those towers out there, you would change the world so fast. If you changed the television within such a short period of time, if you changed the music, right? I mean, you could change the entire world. So
Frequency.
what
It's all
is
about
Message.
energy.
what is making, which the technology exists to serve us, AI, it's totally healthy, can be the most amazing thing in the world. What is using that technology to destroy? What is doing that? And there is, unfortunately, that's what the Aquarian age is about. There is going to be the elimination of that. Whatever is controlling the technology to be harmful. How come we've been driving cars all this time? And why couldn't there be other alternatives, which there have been? Why is it we don't have them? Why is, the energy systems using primitive systems when we have the technology on the earth of better systems, more ecological systems, medicines? The cure from cancer happened long ago. Why is the cure for cancer not being revealed? Why are medicines not healthy? So, we need to remove the force that is possibly this negative force that is manipulating this technology, not for our health. And that's the Aquarian age is about, literally, we are going to eliminate that force. We're going to be eliminating negativity. The new earth will be without negativity. It's like a family. We'll come back to values, raising children, creating a good home for children to grow up in and inherit what we did so they can go and they think about their, that's what we used to do. Ultimately, that's what we're designed to do.
So beautiful.
Right? And that's what this whole era we're in. And of course, it's a difficult story because, whatever is controlling, why is there so many guns on TV? Oh my God, the popular shows, who is behind that? Oh, well, violence is popular, sex is popular, so that's why we put it on TV, right?
Right.
Well, anything could be popular. Compassion and love could be popular. It's like, why, who is behind all this negative input, right? And again, that's very complicated. So this is a very complicated battle, so to speak, that the idea of a new earth is there is no Armageddon. Obviously people have to believe that, and they can't believe that the future is dark. They have to believe the future is light.
It's true. So for people now, as we are getting close to wrapping up, do you have a message for people who are maybe going through this and are looking for maybe the way forward? So you're saying that we're entering this new age. How would you, what's your message for people to connect more with this and step into the new age?
Okay, what I would just say simply is if we are moving into a frequency, our consciousness is creating our reality. So as we move into the place of being conscious creators, we have to take responsibility for our thoughts. We have to start to realize if we want to create peace on earth and a good place to have a family and the ecosystem, we need to actually consciously hold that in our vision. We need to literally see nothing but a earth regenerated, the oceans cleaned, the water, the air, transportations, no need for money. We need to literally see an earth where everyone's taken care of. There is no poverty, war, and all that. And we need to focus on the fact that we can create that with our consciousness, because this shift that's going to happen is we're going to be liberated by our beliefs or imprisoned by our beliefs. So the new earth is about you just will make the choice. If you're going to come to the new earth, your belief system is going to be aligning with that. You're going to be resonating with the fact of peace on earth, a world of peace, regardless of the drama and the distractions that are in the world. And if you were to think of Armageddon, you're going to align with that, and you may go to that world where there will be continued war and survival consciousness. And that's because that's your belief. You will go there. God's not going to eliminate you. You can stay in the university of life. But the idea of the new earth is that we go to more of a utopian, a higher frequency. and it's up to you. And so you need to get rid of those beliefs that don't serve you. Take responsibility for your actions. And that's really what you have to start to decide. Where do you want to be in the future? Who do you want to be? And you best be the one to decide. Don't let the outside tell you who you're going to be. You're going to be a slave or whatever. Don't believe in. You have to make the decision that you're going to be, happy, healthy, with love, in a peace, a world of peace. And it's not a fantasy. Okay, it's going to happen. And maybe, we'll go to sleep one night and it will just be, God's grace. All of us that believe like that will just wake up into that world. And those that go to sleep at night that believe in duality.
Like we are seeing right now, we are in Earth, but you are in the different timelines. You can see people are suffering, but you are not living that reality because somehow you are creating your own reality. It's like we are in the same Earth, but you are in different timelines, experience different things. It's because you choose to experience this.
And we do need to smile on those that are suffering. And, there is a practical sense. We need to change the education system. We have to go up against the UN, the EU. We have to get in there and have people that represent the countries. And we have to, so there is a practical sense. But on a divine sense, if this is a beautiful thing, I'll just share, okay, if you want to hear something powerful. We are on a AM frequency band. All humans, we're AM, left brain, and it's survival consciousness. So we're living AM, okay, left brain. And if the frequency changes to FM, there will no longer be AM. So that means you're going to, all of a sudden, your radio is going to change. And the FM that is going to happen is unity, love. And there is only that. And you are a radio. And AM is going to be just turned off.
Tune in.
Yeah. So that is a really, and it comes down, that's the power possibly of what is going to happen. And everyone is going to be in this new frequency. All of us. Now, some people may need a little rehabilitation time. So I'm sure we're going to be helping those that are confused because they're not used to that new frequency. Others of us are going to be the ones that will help them because we've been living in that frequency. I'm living FM. So when it switches, I'm able to go out there and help all the people that are confused, wondering where the signal went and what's going on, so to speak. And then the ones that are, unable to make that shift, there's some bigger plan that they'll be, like I say, whether they will just stay in the University of Life, that's not important. What's important is every soul that can will be taken into the love frequency, every soul that can. And any ones that can't, they'll possibly go, it's not for me to say. And, and God doesn't destroy anything. So, they'll continue if need be.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah. Isn't that nice? Yeah. So
yes.
So powerful.
Yeah. So I'll help you tune in. I'll help you tune in to the new signal. I hold what I call the new human template. I carry it. So I'm here to try to activate the new human template.
I feel like if everybody, the people who are watching so far to the end, they're definitely tuned into the FM frequency. So they'll be here.
And you created this with
Conscious
the idea
CoCreators.
The new earth. Exactly. So and it's a process, and you can do it out there. You can do it.
And you can see the colors of the sun right there, the golden light.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. So I want to really thank you for this opportunity. And is there anything else you want to share, sweetie?
No, I think we are covered. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe you could just tell us and share a little bit where to find you, and if anyone is inspired to work with you, what modalities are you open for right now?
Okay, well, we live in a Wedish,
In Portugal?
Yes, Oeiras, Portugal, yes, of course. And our home has a entire lower floor with a beautiful garden, backyard, little beautiful sanctuary that is, we call it Peace. It is our therapy center. It's where I work all the time. I'm available. But it's where we do meditations and I teach classes, and other people come that we approve and use the space to do acupuncture, osteopathic, but it's mainly our work. But there can be other people that would come and use our space, and so I am not on social media. I do use. I mean, I believe in uncensored, non-commercial networks. So I am happy to use some of the ones that are available. So I use like Telegram, and obviously there's now, more than just YouTube. There's all these cool Rumble and all these other beautiful platforms that do videos that are not allowed on maybe YouTube. But in YouTube, for what I do, is perfectly, I'm allowed. But, there are other platforms for people that may be wanting to talk about the pharmaceutical industry or something, and they don't allow it, whatever, right? I mean, so that's nice. There are other alternative, non-commercial, non-censored platforms. So that's how you would contact me. But she is one more to, take care of the beauty of greater outreach through social media, the part that I don't. I'm limited in my outreach. So, Gautami can be found.
I have a page in Instagram, Gautami de Castro, and also Facebook and Telegram.
And WhatsApp and stuff like that.
We can add the links under this, so if people want to join your communities and reach out to you.
I'm going to be starting at different groups, but my thing is Telegram, because again, I just want more of the non-commercial and smaller, and it's more new. And again, it's a little different algorithm. So that's just my thing. I get an upset stomach if I go to the wrong networks.
But the real, we can find us because you tune in the frequency and you found us.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Big inspiration, really. I felt so many things happening in my body just while this conversation was going on. It's nuts. So, it was very special.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, and see you next time.
Yes.
Okay.
See you next time.